Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to our 270th weekly webcast. Now, if this is the first time you're joining us, welcome. If you've been with us before, welcome back. And the way this call works is this is an AMA, like you see on Reddit. You can ask me anything. You can ask me business questions, career questions, finance questions, investing questions, any questions you want to. My humble goal is to help you take your career, portfolio, etc. to the next level. So let me get right to your questions now. All right, first up, I've got Haroun, who's from France originally, now lives in Canada. You wrote, good morning. Why did Nvidia go down so much in the past 2 weeks, and where do you see it in 5 years? That's a great question. Okay, a couple things. So there's a company called SMCI, and what they do is they make servers and storage products, and Nvidia's GPU goes into those products. And what's happened is the entire AI space is up a lot this year. Nvidia is double this year. SMCI is up over 100% as well. But SMCI, in 7 of the past 8 quarters, they pre-announced positive results before they reported. However, this time what happened with SMCI was they said they're going to report earnings on April 30th. So they set their earnings date, but they didn't positively pre-announce, meaning they didn't say they're going to beat the high end of the guidance. And as a result of the froth we've seen in a lot of AI stocks that are up materially this year, you have a sell-off. And that's why Nvidia is down as well. But in terms of SMCI, I would say this. One data point doesn't make a trend. We don't know yet if there's structural issues. I think the valuation on SMCI is actually not that bad. It trades at a peg of less than 1. And what that means is price earnings divided by growth, right? So the price earnings ratio divided by the growth rate is higher. So it trades at a peg of below 1. And its competitors trade at a peg of around 1.4, 1.5. So I think it's still relatively cheap. However, it has had a good run this year. Now, in terms of when I approach stocks, I don't really think of this quarter, next quarter. It's a losing proposition, in my humble opinion, to be a day trader. You got to think long term. You know, the longer the view, the less the intention. So if I take a step back and I ask myself, will AI be more relevant or less relevant in 5 years? Well, definitely more relevant, right? So I am bullish on the sector. I continue to be bullish. Now, investors are starved for new themes, and everybody has been, on the AI wave for more than a year now, in terms of over-owning these stocks. So I don't know, a little bit of consolidation is not a big deal. Now, technically speaking, and I love to look at fundamentals first, valuation second, and technicals a distant third, but Nvidia stock is breaking down right now. So again, I am a longer-term focused investor. Let me show you what this means. So if we go to finance.yahoo.com right here, and we type up Nvidia. Oops. Okay. And we look at the chart. Let's just look at a one-year chart right here. Okay. So right here, there's a channel formation. You see here that this is the low end of the channel. There was at least, okay? And this is the high end of the channel. And it broke down through the channel right here. And so a lot of momentum investors have gotten off the gravy train for now. Also, the market cap it's over $2 trillion. So it's had a great run. But I am bullish longer term. Now, in terms of how to approach any investment, well, the first thing you do is you take a step back like I just did a second ago. And you ask yourself, in 5 years, is this company or sector going to be more relevant or less relevant than it is today? That's important because that will stop you from getting seduced into buying value traps, meaning stocks that are cheap for a reason. Then what I do is I do a detailed report on the company. And I'm going to show you my methodology. And this is based on my experience at Goldman, hedge fund industry, and venture capital. And so this here is one of the many exhibits or downloads I have for my MBA degree students. And so what I do is I look at 100 things whenever I invest in a company. Okay, so I've got qualitative research here, okay? And the way this works is you answer all the questions in here, and then what's created for you is a 1-page report and a 150-page report and a dashboard I'll show you in a second. So you always start with the management team, right? And I love the founder of Nvidia. He's still with the company. I never invest in companies, especially tech companies, if the founder leaves. So right here, you've got qualitative drivers. And every single one of these tabs has a video here you can click for more details. meaning I learn how to use that tab. Then I've got quantitative research, like the size of the total addressable market, etc. Then I've got financial research. So everything feeds into down here, where I do an income statement forecast, balance sheet, cash flow statement, and then eventually I value the company based on PE, price to revenue, and then DCF, and then I take a triangulated approach of all three target prices here. The last thing I'll look at here is technical analysis. Okay, so this is how professional investors do it. It makes you long-term focused, and it forces you to create a financial model where you value the company based on your earnings estimates many years into the future. Now, there's three outputs from this, and again, this is exclusively available to my MBA students. One output, and this is just dummy data here, is a one-page report you can print out that's got fundamentals, valuation, and technical analysis. And when you go to your interviews, if you want to meet with a hedge fund or investment management firm, you put this on the other side of your resume. The other two outputs are as follows. Number one, there's a detailed report that's 150 pages, as I mentioned. And lastly, there's a dashboard, okay, that visualizes everything here. So you always have to think long-term when you're investing, and you always value companies based on your earnings estimates in 5 or 10 years. And that way, you can always value companies based on your PE price target in 5 or 10 years. And then you can tell yourself, I don't care about the path. I care about the destination. And you can sleep better as well. Last thing I'll say on this is Warren Buffett, who's not traditionally a tech investor, but whenever he invests in a company, he always tells himself after he buys a stock, the stock market's going to be closed for 10 years. Now, obviously, it's not going to be closed for 10 years, but that's how long-term focused he is. And I want you all to be long-term focused as well. And please create these write-ups I provide you with in my MBA degree program. I also have a business plan template I want you to complete before starting a company, because failing to plan is planning to fail. If you want to learn more about my MBA degree program, you can go to this link right here, day1notoneday.com. And my next 1-year gold and platinum MBA program starts on May the 6th. Okay, it's going to be the last program I do this year. One more quick housekeeping announcement before I get to your more of your questions, pardon me. I've got a very special guest. You guys are going to love this. Next week on my weekly webcast. It's the top professor, business professor at Stanford. And his name is Ilya Strebulev. And he's going to be on this call next week. And he is the venture capital professor at Stanford. I've guest lectured in his classes lots of times. And he's got a new amazing book that I've got an advanced copy of we're going to talk about. And here are nice quotes about him from the former CEO of Google as well as Zoom. So that's going to be 1 week from today. Ilya will be on this call. You'll get to ask him any questions you want. And the focus of next week's call will be on venture capital. Okay, let me get some more questions here. All right, next up, Flourish. First time I see you on the call. Hope you join us again. Welcome. Oh, hi, Chris. How can I transition to investment banking from a non-finance background? I'm currently taking your course on investment banking on Udemy, but I'd like to know what is next. Thank you. Yeah. So every time you see a job opening online, and this is a generic answer to apply to everybody on this call, every time you see a job opening, you literally have a 1 in 250 chance of getting that job. And the person that ultimately gets that job knows somebody at the company. And that's what you need to do as well. Step 1, have an incredible LinkedIn profile, which I teach in my MBA degree programs. Step 2, network and meet people at the companies you want to work at that have at least 2 things in common with you. And if you don't want to join my MBA program, but you want to read a book on exactly how to do this, then what you can do is just go to my homepage, which is harounmba.com. And at the bottom here, you can download this book for free on networking to get customers, a job, or anything you want. Now, the tricky thing is going to be that you don't have a finance background. So you got to work extra hard in order to make that career change. And so what I recommend doing is I recommend creating a number of one-page write-ups and bring financial models as well, okay, to your investment banking interview, and walk through your models as well, and talk about why your unique background can really help the firm. And what you can always do, everybody in this call, whatever you think your weakness is or your shortfall, you can go to ChatGPT and ask it to turn into a strength. For example, let's say that you worked in the retail industry and you want to interview for an investment banking job. You go directly to ChatGPT and you type this: I'm about to interview for an investment banking job. I work in the retail sector and and I'm afraid that given my lack of finance experience, I might not get the job. In 20 words or less, articulate why my retail background is a strength and not a weakness in an interview situation when interviewing for investment banking. Okay? Always do that in ChatGPT. Always type in what you think your weaknesses are and ask ChatGPT to turn them into a strength. It works exceptionally well. Yeah. And if you have additional questions about how to interview for investment banking, etc., please let me know. But always ask yourself, why do you want that job? Okay. Before focusing on how to get it, ask why. Investment banking is a tough gig. You don't have much of a life. You might make more than your friends, but you know what? They're making the same amount per hour as you are, but they're not sacrificing their health, etc. Yeah. And I say it with love in my heart as always. All right, next up, hey, Yolanda. Yolanda graduated from my Platinum program. You were in my class back in 2019. Great to see you. You're from Texas, yeah. So Yolanda wrote, hope you're having a great day so far. Thank you, likewise. What AI bot do you prefer? ChatGPT, Grok, Claude, or others? Yeah. So I would say my favorite one right now is Claude. And Claude was founded, and you can go to their website, claude.ai, which works in many countries, but not Canada. But I love Claude because what you can do is you can upload multiple documents. And it doesn't hallucinate as much as ChatGPT because the source is your documents. And a couple of dudes that used to work at OpenAI quit to start Claude. So what I like to do with Claude is I like to upload multiple annual reports. And then what I do is I ask Claude to create annual financial statements from each one of those, right? Garbage in, garbage out. If I know I have a good source of data as an input, meaning what I upload, then you get better results. In terms of Grok, which is Elon Musk's AI company, named after The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, great book. I don't really use it because the main source is Twitter, right? So, and there's a lot of misinformation on Twitter, etc. I prefer instead of using Twitter to use a website like Reddit, for example. Yeah. Okay, but apparently Grok is supposed to be much more visual as well. I am a big fan of ChatGPT. Just make sure to always check the data sources because quite often it hallucinates, meaning it's confidently wrong. Yeah. All right. And Yolanda, because you're in my MBA program, so you can take, I've got a bunch of electives you can take for free that are included. And all you have to do is go to the last lecture of your MBA degree program in order to access the following electives, right? So I've got ChatGPT for investing in stocks. And I also talk about here Bard, which is now called Gemini, as well as Claude.ai. And I've got other AI stuff here as well. Yeah. So anybody in my MBA degree program, Silver, Gold, Platinum, or the new Diamond Growth Accelerator program, you can always go to the last lecture of your MBA degree program to get access to electives for free forever. And I make tons of them. And what I'm working very hard on right now, adding to the MBA curriculum exclusively, is a real estate course. So you can all invest in real estate. Yeah. And I just put another offer in for another house I'm buying in Florida. It's going to be investment property, and I'm going to rent it out using Airbnb. I can go there if you want me to and talk about that in more detail. This is your time, all of you, so I'll let you set the tone in terms of what questions to ask. And tomorrow I've got a vlog coming out, speaking of Texas, Yolanda, where I talk about Mark Cuban's best practices. Yeah, it's my weekly vlog. And in a couple weeks, I'm releasing a vlog on The Big Short as well. It's going to be a review of that on my YouTube channel. All right. Leg, good morning. Okay. Rafkin, how are you? You wrote, haven't talked to you in almost 2 years. Great. That's right. It's been a while. You wrote, I have a question. Is guidance important? Can you explain? Absolutely. It's so quite often companies will report earnings. And even if earnings are great, the stock can go down. And one of the reasons a stock can go down is because of poor guidance. And what guidance is CFOs usually provide you with a range of revenue and earnings estimates that they're going to hopefully hit in the next quarter and in the fiscal year as well. Okay. Now, if a company doesn't provide guidance, right, and they just report earnings, you can still kind of tell what guidance is. And the way you know is by going to the balance sheet and looking at the liability section at something called deferred revenue. And what deferred revenue means is revenue they can't recognize right now. So, for example, let's say that you bought this chip from me. You gave me $1 million. Okay, and I'm Intel. Okay, you gave me $1 million, right? I can't, and I didn't give you that chip yet, I can't recognize that as revenue by law or I go to jail. So that becomes deferred revenue. And sometimes you'll notice that a company will report great earnings, but the stock will go down and they don't guide. And one of the reasons is because deferred revenue went down, right? Which means that their pipeline of future business opportunities is not great. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, Rafkin wrote, as of Meta recently, I don't get it. Guidance for Q2 is still down 15 to 20% year over year. Is still 15% year over year, or the market expected 25%. Yeah. Why did the stock go down? Yeah. So I think Wall Street was expecting better guidance in general. And for a couple of years, I know that Facebook's had a good dead cat bounce. But for a couple of years, people have been worried about them, overspending on Meta or future products that really don't show much in terms of progress in the market revenue-wise. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And I think it's more of a, it's kind of transitioning from a growth stock to a value stock. And you're either a growth investor or a value investor. A growth investor means you like to buy expensive stuff that's growing quickly. And a value investor, like Warren Buffett, is you like to buy cheap stuff. The problem with Meta and many big growth companies, when growth slows, is they're no longer growth stocks. They're not growing fast enough. But they're not a value stock yet because they're not cheap enough. And so they're stuck in no man's land in the middle. And I call this investment purgatory. And I don't ever recommend investing in a stock that's transitioning from growth to value, because most investors are either growth or value. And sometimes it can take up to 10 years for that transition to take place. And the stock doesn't really move very much. Now, one thing that can make the stock move quickly and go from growth to value right away is if an activist investor, like Carl Icahn, buys a big stake in the company and forces the management team to transition and unlock shareholder value by becoming a value play. Or better yet, what happened with eBay, and this is a fascinating case study. Years ago, eBay was really undervalued. And the reason it was because it was two companies in one. PayPal, which growth investors loved, and the sleepy auctions business, which value investors love, because people buy used stuff, in recessions too. So nobody wanted to buy it because you're either a growth investor or a value investor. So Carl Icahn stepped in and he bought 30% stake in the company. He pushed out the management team, and then he split the company into two. PayPal, which growth investors love, and eBay Marketplace, which value investors love. And that unlocks shareholder value. Okay. All right, next up. Oh, hey, how are you? Marin Koros is here, and Marin is one of my MBA students, and Marin started a company called SkinBell, and she sent me her products as well. And we're building our next school in Kenya in honor of her mother, Leah. It's going to be called the Leah Koros Memorial School for Girls. It's a 6-hour drive from the Nairobi airport. Always great to see you. And if anybody wants to buy cocoa butter, go to skin-bell.com, I think it is. Yeah. Okay. Great to see you. All right, next up we got Sue. Hey, Sue. Sue wrote, hi, I'm from South Africa, Johannesburg. How are you? Glad to be here amongst the best. My students are the best, I agree. You wrote, thanks, Chris, for the gift that keeps on giving, education. Thank you. Thank you. It's great to have you here. Okay, next up, I've got AJ, who wrote, hey, Chris, just found your channel a week or two ago. Thanks so much for sharing all of this. Excited to see next week as well. Thank you, AJ. I appreciate it. Thank you. Manas from India. Hey, Manas, how are you, man? So Manas wrote here, good morning, my dear mentor, Chris, please. Hope all's well. What a wonderful week as always. Looking like Bob Burgundy. Yes, I do look like Bob Burgundy. That's true. Yeah, Ron Burgundy, actually. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, Renveer from Mauritius wrote, hey, Chris. Hey, man. What's your level of a good day? Are you certain or uncertain? Yeah, so for me, every day before I get out of bed, and I recommend you guys do this as well, what I do is I practice gratitude, okay? And so I always thank God for 10 things before I get out of bed, and it puts me in a peak mental state. I thank God for Andrew, Matthew, Dylan, my kids, my wife, Christine, my mom, my dad, my brother, Jamie, my sisters, Katie and Elizabeth, and all of you, my students. So I practice gratitude, and that significantly helps me accomplish more every single day. Now, for me, I humbly believe I get 10 times more done than the old Chris Haroun did. And the reason is because all day long, I get about 30,000 steps a day. And the way I do it is I've got one of these desks that goes up and down in my office, and I use a treadmill. And I walk about, I guess about six miles an hour all day long. So I can get 20 miles in per day. I've got special shoes so it doesn't hurt my knees because I'm 52, man. So I walk all day long like this. And this treadmill, it's $250. You can get it from Amazon, and I'm happy to show you the link if you're interested. And I do that. I drink water all day long. I prepare all my meals as well 1 week in advance. I have greatest hits of juice I drink every day. So I use a lot of biohacks. And the reason why this exercising thing lets you be 10 times more productive every day is because when you're younger, you remember you used to get up early, and the first hour of studying every day was really productive. And then at night, you crammed for 10 hours, and those 10 hours sucked and were less productive than the 1 hour in the morning. Well, I realized by biohacking that if you're exercising all day at a relatively slow pace, you trick your brain into believing that it just woke up, you're fresh. So if you treat this well, this works gooder. Yeah. But it works, try it out. It's a great biohack, yeah. Yeah. Another thing that helps me through every day is attitude as well. You know, and for any of you out there, I remember when I was younger, if I had friends that were kind of brought me down, it was like 5 strikes, you're out. But now, like, I cut everybody off in my life that's negative, right? And so I love to only hang out with positive people. That helps me. Another thing I love to do is schedule each day. And I have this as one of the templates of my MBA degree program, along with 8 million other templates. But I schedule each day. And if you want to get something done, give it to a busy person. And I have this available in many different file formats as well. I prefer that you all write it by hand, though. Double-sided for the environment, all that stuff. I prefer you all write by hand, though, so you can keep repeating your daily goals and schedule each day. And then at the end of each day, I score myself, too. If I didn't exercise, I'd take off 10%. If I didn't pray, I'd take off even more, etc. And we're all different, yeah. If you want to get something done, you give it to a busy person. Okay, Kevin, how are you? From Lakeland, Florida. I was in Florida 2 weeks ago visiting my wonderful parents in Lauderdale. Okay, and then Renvir wrote, hey, Chris, not sure if you saw my LinkedIn videos. How do you think I could reach out to potential customers for my AI automation agency? Yeah, and since you're in the Silver MBA degree program, and every single Thursday at 10 a.m. we do a 1 hour Zoom. During that call, show me them, and I'll give you my humble thoughts. But good for you for being a prolific writer and video poster on LinkedIn. Yeah, I love it. And for those of you that haven't started writing on LinkedIn yet, please do so. And I started doing that years ago. So when I worked in the venture capital industry, for 2 years, I published 1 article on my LinkedIn account every week. Then I took 101 of those articles and I threw them together into a book. And I can provide you with this template for free, the book template. Just let me know, please. I'll give it to you right now for free. And then when you go to meetings, you can take this book and give it to anybody you want to. Informational meetings, etc., cost you nothing. And if you think that's a lot of work, ask yourself this, and I say it with love in my heart. How badly do you want that job or that customer? It works. And the articles you put first are always the ones where you got the most clicks, likes, comments, and stuff. Yeah. But don't give up. Keep posting that information. Okay, it's a marathon, not a sprint, and your competition will give up after just a couple of months of screaming into the wind and not getting that many clicks. Yeah. All right. Next up, Manas wrote, the election in your country, America, is coming closer than ever. Do you feel the heat from both sides? Yeah, it's going to be an interesting year. But Saturday Night Live will be a lot of fun to watch. Yeah. And in terms of, am I a Republican or a Democrat? Well, it all depends on who the candidate is. It always does. Yeah. And never, ever on your LinkedIn profile follow a politician, anybody, please. Because half the people will like you more than the other half. I don't know what half. Yeah. Okay. All right. Oh, Peyton, who goes by Web3 Gaming. Chris is the man. Thank you. And Peyton, God bless you. That guy you recommended, Franklin, that I hired from Fiverr to do my new thumbnails, is helping a lot. So thank you for that. I miss you, man. That's Peyton Kalahea from Hawaii originally. He now lives with his wife, Hannah, and their 3 wonderful children in Oklahoma. And Peyton graduated from my MBA a couple of years ago. Always good to see you, brother. All right. Manas wrote, Run AI was acquired by Nvidia for $700 million. And that's a tiny deal for them because their market cap's over $2 trillion. I want to ask you this. Should someone set up a startup for a few hundred million or even $1 billion, or should someone sell a startup? Yeah. So I don't believe in starting a company for the sole purpose of selling it. If you have an exit plan, you're not thinking big enough. You got to be like Steve Jobs and want to put your dent in the universe. Like Elon Musk. If his thought process was, I just want to make money, we would never have heard of him. He would have sold his companies for, a couple $1 million, right? You got to be willing to go all in and dominate an industry. Yeah. And that's why I hate investing in companies, in most cases, when the founder is no longer involved in the company. Yeah. Because once a founder leaves a company and a new CEO comes in, they're kind of slaves to Wall Street. Like they have to manage the business for the quarter. And that's no way to manage a company. Yeah. You got to be long-term focused always. Yeah. All right. Michael, how are you? Michael, it's been a while. You wrote, really enjoying the Billions analysis series. Great work, Chris. Thank you. I appreciate that. Next one drops tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Pacific time. Every Friday at 9 a.m. Yeah. And I'm in season 2 now, every week. And I'm going to do every single episode. Yeah. And also movies. I've got, as I mentioned, the Big Short, Margin Call, many others. I'm going to be doing books as well. I'm trying to do 1 per week. It's a lot, but I love it. Yeah. So Liar's Poker is the next book I'm going to be doing. And The Big Short is actually kind of like Liar's Poker Part 2. Okay. And then Peyton wrote, I can't wait for The Big Short video. Thank you. You and me both. Yeah, there's a lot to it, man. I have so many props I'm going to be teaching it with. So I have to explain. I'm explaining in it also fiscal policy and monetary policy, right? So the government has 2 different types of medicine to fix the economy, right? They've got fiscal policy and monetary policy. Fiscal policy means, building bridges, highways, roads, etc., in order to prop up the economy. And then we got monetary policy, and the biggest set of medicine that the government has is the ability to raise or cut interest rates. And they do it by flooding the market. This is fake money. Flooding the market by buying bonds or selling bonds. Yeah. So anyway, these are props I'm using in that vlog. I love what I do. It's fun. Okay. Flourish, you're most welcome. And then Manas wrote, deferred revenue equals earnings, not received, some accounting terms. Now, it's actually revenue. Yeah. So deferred revenue means, so revenue is the top line of the income statement. That's why they say, what's your top line? The bottom line is earnings. So deferred revenue means revenue where you've received money, right? You gave me money, but I haven't yet given you the product. So I can't recognize that revenue until the future, hence the word deferred. And if you want to take it a step further, what you can look at is something called bookings. And bookings is revenue from the current quarter plus the change in deferred revenue from the current balance sheet versus the previous one. That's bookings. And if bookings goes down sequentially, that's bad. Yeah. Okay. And then Renvir wrote, I'm proud of myself. I refrained myself from gambling on TikTok's banned news. Sticking to the long-term strategy. Yeah. Careful with, like day trading doesn't work. You got to be really long-term focused. Yeah. Otherwise, what happens is, as Warren Buffett said, the New York Stock Exchange is the only store in the world where consumers sell stuff when it goes on sale. Just think long-term. Yeah. All right. Next up, Manas wrote, Tesla is in the doldrums. Profit is down 50% year over year. Elon is cutting costs. X is keeping him busy, and also cheap Chinese EVs are making them crazy like Boyd. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think one of the biggest issues with Tesla and with Elon is he really took, I think he's brilliant. I think he's definitely doing great things for society, especially when it comes to freedom of speech. That's right. As well as the environment. But whenever the CEO or founder of a company takes their eye off the ball to focus on a pet project, like buying a sports team or investing in Twitter, X, whatever it's called now, investors get really worried, rightly so, because execution becomes a significant issue. Because all of a sudden, the founder is becoming a jack of all trades and a master of none. And if you take a look at Tesla's stock, it materially pulled back in the 6 months that when Elon took over Twitter. And he didn't really announce any cool brand new products. And when I used to work in the hedge fund industry, whenever a founder or a CEO of a company came up with a new pet project, whether it's sailing, I'm not going to give you the example of that. You probably know what I'm talking about. Or buying a sports team, we would look to short the company. Yeah. Of course, we did much more research than just that, but yeah. As Mark Cuban said, ideas are commodities, but execution is not. Okay. And then GK wrote, hi, Chris. I'm a platinum student starting in May of 2024. I completed the modeling and options lectures. Excellent. It's FA 4-4, right? Finance and Accounting Semester 4, Class 4. I'm looking forward to working with you. Yeah, if anybody's interested to learn more, just go to day one, not one day, right here, and it'll get forwarded to my web address here. And you can learn more about the gold and platinum class. It starts on May the 6th. Classes will be every Monday and Tuesday for 1 year, starting May 6th, from 9 a.m. until noon Pacific time. If you can't make it live, it's okay. You can watch replays. But it's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah. And I've got a sale. It's on right now. Yeah. And if anybody's interested in taking it to the next level and they want one-on-one coaching from me, and in Platinum, you get 3 hours of one-on-ones. But in the Diamond program, you actually get 20 hours. Yeah. And you get access to me 6 days a week, 24 hours a day, but not on Sundays because that's my day to go to church with Christine and the boys. Yeah. All right. And then GK wrote, background. I have a background in M&A and market understanding. I'm interested in utilizing the skills to start a hedge fund, but I need a track record. I'm considering private wealth management or alternatives. I'm seeking guidance. Yeah. Yeah. If you want to start a hedge fund, of course, you need to work at a hedge fund and develop a track record. I can help you do that. I've worked in the hedge fund industry. I raised and managed over $1 billion, started my own hedge fund venture capital firm. I can definitely help you with that. Yeah. Yeah. But it's going to take time. It's got to be like a 5 to 10 year plan in terms of when to start your hedge fund. But I'll walk you through every single step and humbly help you the best I can. Okay. All right. Manas wrote, have you tried cheap Chinese EV? They look cute, especially the $5,000 ones. I don't even know what that is. I'm so sorry. I haven't tried it yet. Yeah. Probably made by Boyd, I think. Yeah. Yeah. And then Manas wrote, TikTok has a year to be ousted from the United States. Your following is crazy there. Yeah, thank you. And you wrote, I was checking it out today. Your videos are crazy good for sure. Does that help from a business perspective? Yeah, absolutely. It does. Yeah. Yeah. We'll see what will happen with TikTok. They've got a year. There's too much money on the table. I bet you some billionaire in the United States will take a stab at it, probably influenced by Elon with what he did with X. Yeah. Yeah. In terms of helping me from a business perspective, I mean, everything helps. So what I always recommend doing is I want you all to be thought of as a thought leader. And whatever you're most passionate about, I want you to write articles about. Then what you can do, as I mentioned before, is you can repurpose that content in the form of a book or repurpose it in the form of videos. So for example, this weekly webcast, this is week 270. I'm doing it for 5 or 6 years now. What happens is within 1 hour of this call being done, it's syndicated to podcast network. It's also, if you go to the description of this video, within 1 hour of it being done, every single question is written out with timestamps. And then I've got a team in Canada that will create videos from it, right? So there's nothing left on the carcass by the time this call is done, right? It's a smart way to work smarter, not harder. And I got the idea from Nintendo. We do a case study on Nintendo in my MBA program. So Nintendo is the oldest tech company in history. It wasn't always a tech company, right? But Nintendo is brilliant because they repurpose content. What does that mean? Well, what they do is they take their 8-bit, 16-bit, 64-bit, etc. games on older consoles, and they repurpose it on newer consoles, right? So the margins are unbelievable because the fixed costs are already done. And that's exactly what I do with my strategy. And that's what I teach my students as well in my MBA degree program. Yeah. And YouTube is the biggest gold rush in history, okay? Because it's the only gold rush where it costs you nothing to make the product. And it's the only gold rush where you can get access to millions or billions of potential customers for free. Yeah. And I think we're all going to look back, decades from now and say, darn, I wish I had created more TikToks. Or more YouTube videos and TikToks. Put them on every platform. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, Raphael wrote, hey, Chris, how are you? I'm great, thanks. Good to see you. You wrote, just dropping by to say hi. Microsoft is reporting earnings after the market close. They've got legal issues now with Bing Chat. Yeah. And then you wrote Dogecoin to the moon. Oh, I remember you. You graduated from my platinum program like 3 or 4 years ago. I think you're from the Philippines and you live in the Pacific Northwest and you love trading. I remember. Yeah, that's you definitely. Great to see you. Yeah. Zubair, how are you? Moving on to Manas, who wrote, AI models are taking over. Men and women want AI over real human beings. Is it a big threat to humanity? What are your thoughts? It's definitely an issue. So a couple of years ago, one of the best video games ever is called Detroit Become Human. Please play it. It's so good. And it's made by Quantic Dream. And in that game, you're an android. And it's a human-like android, right? It looks like a real person. And the reason I mention this is because in between the cutscenes, I'm playing the game. I played my PS4 years ago. In between the cutscenes, thousands of people that are playing the game at the same time are asked a question. And you could see the answers live. And one of the questions was, would you date an android? And 70% of the people when I was playing said yes. I said no because I'm married, but it's going to be an issue one day. Yeah. That takes the Turing test to the next level, man. All right. And next question is, Jon Stewart is funny as hell. So is Jimmy Fallon. The other Jimmys are too good. They troll pretty beautiful. Yeah. What do you mean by they troll pretty? Oh, they troll. Okay, yeah. You mean in terms of their repurposing content? Yeah. I'm a big fan of Jimmy Fallon. Okay. All right. Next up, Renvir wrote, let's say you had a great activist investment idea, but no connection or money. How would you find those investors and convince them to do what you want? Yeah. You'd have to start a fund first. And if you just want it to be a one-time investment, instead of starting a fund, you can start what's called a special purpose vehicle, SPV. Step 1, talk to a lawyer to register your company so you're protected and your investors are protected. Step 2, get the lawyer to create an investment offering memorandum or some kind of sales memo. Right? Step 3, talk to your lawyer about who can you go after, because you have to go after what are called accredited investors with a certain liquid net worth. And then lastly, leverage LinkedIn by setting up informational meetings with high net worth investors, right? And during our Silver MBA call today at 10, I'm happy to go through that. And by the way, for anybody in my Gold and Platinum MBA program, there's a 2-hour weekly call, as you know, from 11:20 to 1:20 my time, Pacific time, every Thursday forever. You got access to that for free forever. But I'm now starting to allow my Gold and Platinum students to also join the Silver call. And if you want to do that, just click the same Zoom address you always use today at 10 a.m., meeting in 1 hour and 20 minutes. Yeah. And Renvir and everybody in the call, you always want to raise money from high net worth investors initially because the sales cycle is quite short, right? If you go after institutions, it can take forever. Yeah. Always talk to the decision maker. Okay, moving on to Manas, who wrote, after the U.S. election, do you see the market equity and crypto correct or maybe jump? Yeah. So crypto's had a really good run for two reasons. I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of consolidation. And the two reasons why crypto's done quite well recently, especially Bitcoin this year. Number one, because of the inclusion in the ETF for Bitcoin. That's a huge deal. And now more than 50% of all ownership in Bitcoin is from institutional investors. It was zero in 2012. So that's number one. That's why cryptos have run up there. The second reason why Bitcoin has run up at least is because of the halving. And so what happens is every 4 years, the reward for mining Bitcoin gets cut in half. And that's done to control supply, right? To kind of stop inflation when it comes to Bitcoin. And the previous 4 times that we saw the halving occur, and the halving just occurred here in April this month. The previous 3 times, there's 4 in total, Bitcoin ran up a lot into that. Yeah. And always tell yourself this. I don't care what stock it is or what crypto. You'll always have a chance to buy it lower. Be careful of FOMO if you're missing out. Yeah. All right. Next up, Sulu wrote, "Hi, Chris. Getting to know you from the Ivory Coast. Thank you. God bless you. You're doing a good job. Keep it up. Welcome to the call. And I hope you join us again. Thank you. Merci." All right. Manas said, "The Fed is skeptical of cuts and rate cuts for at least," and then you wrote, "at least 2 are coming this year." Yeah, we don't know at this point. At the beginning of this year, it looked like there was going to be 3 rate cuts, but now inflation is starting to tick up. Right? The economy is doing a little bit better than expected, and so as a result, we might only get 1 rate cut this year. We don't know. I personally don't care because I'm very, 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 very long-term focused. Always. Yeah, and if the market sells off materially, great. That's when I'll buy. Yeah. Okay. And the problem with what's going on right now with the Federal Reserve is trying to manage the economy when it comes to controlling inflation. And usually what the government wants to see is they want to see an increase in unemployment. But the problem is this. In the United States, every single week, 100,000 baby boomers retire. Right, so it's not really having much of an impact. Higher rates not really having much of an impact on unemployment. Yeah, and unemployment is only statistically, it only calculates people that are looking for work. Yeah. All right. Okay, Phil, how are you? Phil Germany from Ohio, I think, wrote, "Can the valuation methodology, meaning PE and DCF, be used for forecasting stocks to be used for ETFs?" Yeah, it's a bit harder. I know that some market strategists like Abby Joseph Cohen from Goldman Sachs, she's great, might look at what they think total earnings will be for the S&P for the next couple of years, and then value the S&P based on an earnings growth PEG ratio like 15 times. It's hard to do. It really is, because you don't really have the bandwidth to create 500 financial models, right? You can do it for an ETF maybe that has fewer than 20 stocks. You could do it that way. But aside from that, I wouldn't do it that way. Yeah. And if you're not sure where to put your money, you can always go to etfdb.com. I'm not sponsored by anybody. I never will be. I want to be true and pure to my students, my customers only. But if you go to etfdb.com, what you can do is there's 5,000 ETFs you can do research on. And where I put my money, always do your research, where I put my money where I'm not sure where to put it, is I put it in ticker, wow, do you guys see that? I put it in ticker VOO. Yeah, that must be a new feature on Wirecast. That's strange. Huh, okay. All right. Rashiv wrote, "Hey, Chris, hey. I've wanted to get into consulting. Awesome. And I used to work at Accenture back in the 90s. Not Accenture, Accenture." You wrote, "So I wanted to ask, how easy is it to break into it? And will a tier 30 business school get me into it? Or it's got to be a tier 10 or tier 15? Yeah. So relationships are always more important than product knowledge. I don't care where you went to school or if people went to school at all. Right? You can always network your way into any job. That's right. Yeah. And if you want to work in consulting, what I would do is, and take my MBA program, visit here if you want for more details, but what you can do is create an amazing LinkedIn profile, write a really, really good strategic consulting type newsletter or article every single week so people start to think of you as a thought leader. and start networking with people that work at these companies. Meet with 20 or 30 people that work at Bain, BCG, the Boston Consulting Group, or McKinsey. And during those meetings, you bond first, and towards the end of the meeting, I want you to ask them if you can interview. Yeah. Remember, closed mouths don't get fed. Yeah. And in my MBA program, I provide you with a ton of frameworks, templates, et cetera, to help you with that, including the SWOT analysis, the Boston Consulting Group matrix, Porter 5 Forces model, and so much more. Yeah. Okay. And just do a search on vaultreports.com if you want to download PDFs that will help you with acing your case. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and Oliver, I see what you wrote here. I think that might be a part 2 of something you wrote. If there's a part 1 of that, please type it again. And for some reason, YouTube, it's cray-cray, but they won't let us put any hyperlinks, get stripped out here. Yeah. Okay, and Branko wrote, you have $50,000 and 3 years to make $1 million. What are you specifically going to do to get there? Yeah, you got to think long term. Yeah. A lot of people will try cutting corners using day trading, but it doesn't work because stocks go up and down in a short amount of time for random reasons you can't control. For example, let's say you're long Nvidia. You had no idea that SMCI would not beat earnings, or at least not pre-announce above the high end of guidance. And so, Nvidia, I think it was on April 19th, went down, like 10% because SMCI went down 20%. You can't forecast that stuff, nor can you forecast in the short run what saber-rattling news flow is going to come out of different G7 countries, saying negative things about each other. It causes markets to go down. You can't forecast that, right? And each month has 20 weekdays, meaning 20 trading days the market's open. So always be very, very long-term focused. Yeah. And I know, Branko, some people would tell you, okay, here's what I would say. Oh, God, I feel uncomfortable even saying this, but I have to. Okay, so what you can do is this. Do thorough research on a handful of companies, like thorough research, using that 100-step template I showed you earlier in today's call. Then find stocks after you do your thorough research that you think are 5x5s, meaning a 500% return within 5 years. Okay, you got to focus on your financial model and your earnings estimates in 5 to 10 years as well. Then what you can do is you can buy leaps. Okay, leaps are like call options that expire in 1 to 3 years. Yeah. But just keep in mind that you could lose every penny you put into those leaps. Yeah, the calls. Okay, next question is, if stock prices fall below 4, it'll be delisted. Why is that? And what's the logic behind it? Yeah. So it really is Darwinism when it comes to companies listed on public markets, right? In order to ensure quality, if a stock is not doing well, if it's below $4 for an extended period of time, it can be delisted. And what happens is, if it's on the NASDAQ, for example, and it's got 4 letters in the ticker, a 5th letter is added. It's added to the pink sheets for a while, right? They're in the penalty box till they can improve stuff. Yeah. And quite often it's when companies declare bankruptcy as well. They get delisted. And about 75% of all companies that declare Chapter 11 bankruptcy, as long as there's no fraud, within 4 months when they come out of bankruptcy, they're better off than ever. Yeah. And the bankruptcy courts were created in 1979 by the U.S. government. There's 300 of them in the United States, and it's a beautiful thing. It's called Chapter 11 because there's a lot of different chapters within the bankruptcy code. All right. In Monostro, MBA stands for married but always available. Yeah. This never comes off. Yeah. All right. Okay, give me 1 second to go through questions here. Okay. And then Phil, who I think graduated from my Platinum program a couple of years ago, wrote, does the Diamond one-on-one coaching program work similar to the coaching in Platinum? No, it's different. Because in the Platinum program, you get 20-minute one-on-ones every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. With the Diamond Growth Accelerator, you've got access, 6 days a week, 24 hours a day. Yeah, a lot on Saturdays too. I have my Saturdays. I do a ton of calls with my Diamond students. It's humbly selling really well, and some of my students actually like me to do 3 or 4 hours in a row. Yeah, to help them with a big presentation, etc. Yeah, but I take an active role in your life, your business life, your career, and really help you and walk through walls even more so in the Diamond program. Yeah. And if you want to learn more about, if anybody's interested in joining any of my MBA programs and you want to talk to me first, just go to HarounMBA.com or day1not1day.com and click here on this blue button I'm covering to set up a Zoom call with me. And we could talk about if it's a good fit. Yeah. Diamond's not a great fit for everybody. I also make sure I can add value if I can't. I tell you straight up. Yeah. Okay. And Diamond and everything I sell has got a 30-day 100% money back guarantee. And I always tell my students that if you're not getting at least a 10 times return on investment in the first 30 days, please ask for your money back. Yeah. Trying to get my teeth whiter, that's why I'm using a straw. Yeah. All right. All right, next up, Raphael wrote, I'm glad you still remember me. I work now as a research analyst and account manager in 2 prop firms. Thanks to you. I owe it to you, my success. I really appreciate you. God bless you and thank you. Thank you. That means a lot. Thank you. Very cool. And then Ipo Varik wrote, hi, Chris. Going through your course right now. Thank you for that. And first time I've seen you on the call. I hope you join us again. Thank you. Okay. Next up, Amr wrote, hi, Chris. What books do you recommend as a must read? Yeah. I'm not a big fan of theory. I really love biographies and autobiographies as well, because you can learn a lot of secrets from successful people. And they love to put their cards on the table after they become successful and share their secrets with you. So recently I finished the Elon Musk book by Walter Isaacson. I would read that or listen to the Audible version of it as well. I'd also listen to the Steve Jobs one. And any biography you can find on any entrepreneur that inspires you. Because you don't learn theory, you learn real life practical stuff. And I use Audible for everything. And right now I'm listening to a lot of books by Alex Hormozi on Audible. Who am I listening to now? Alexa, read my book.
Getting your selection from Audible. Resuming $100 million leads.
Yeah.
Basic filters on top of
Alexa, stop. Yeah, so there's 2 books I'm going through now. There's Alex Hormozi's $100 million offers, which I finished, and $100 million leads. And I learned from Alex also, who's a great entrepreneur. He owns acquisition.com. I learned from him that you can retain so much more if you listen to the book while you read it. Yeah. And you can even put it on 1.5 mode, 1.5 times, and it'll make it go through the book really fast as well. Yeah. 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 But aside from that, How to Win Friends and Influence People is an oldie but a goodie. I recommend that as well. Because human nature has not changed. It'll teach you how to talk to people, how to interact with people, and how to arouse in other people an eager want, etc. Another great book by Dale Carnegie is called How to Stop Worrying and Start Living, where he talks about how to live in day-tight compartments. And whenever you worry, I want you to stop. And here's a great quote by Dale Carnegie. He said, "Our fatigue is often caused not by work, but by worry." It's so true. Like, we tend to worry too much about stuff that never happens. And Winston Churchill once said, I once met a man on his deathbed who talked about all the worries he had in his life, none of which came true. Yeah. Don't worry. Hakuna Matata. And I believe, okay, earmuff time for those of you not religious, but I'm going there. I don't care. It's me. I believe that if you worry too much about your career, like you overdo it, I feel like it's kind of disrespectful to God, because God has put you on a path and everything happens for a reason. And I want you to condition yourself to see a crisis as an opportunity. And you might not understand this now, but many years it might make more sense to you. You might look back on your life many years from now and say, thank God I was sent down that path. And I remember thinking that was a failure. But if it weren't for that, it wouldn't have guided me down this path here. Yeah. And have a positive attitude about everything. Okay. All right. So somebody wrote here, Renvir wrote, what are the top 3 things you just learned from Jamie Dimon? I'm looking at my iPhone here because I just got a Wall Street Journal interview alert about Jamie Dimon here. He wrote, Jamie Dimon is skeptical on a soft landing. Don't get lulled into a false sense of security. Yeah. So Jamie Dimon, he's the brilliant CEO of, he's been there decades now, of JP Morgan. If it weren't for him, the company would have gone belly up in the fall of 2008. I don't agree with everything he says, but I certainly respect him. And he's very skeptical when it comes to cryptocurrencies. Like I've seen him in interviews where he said something along the lines of, how do we know there's only going to be 21 million Bitcoin by the year 2140 mined? How do we know that? He thinks it's a scam. So he's definitely more negative than other CEOs. Yeah. All right. And then Phil wrote, what are some examples of black swans? Yeah. So a black swan means a rare event. So Nassim Taleb, he's written a lot of great books. You should read his books. He's great. One of them is called Fooled by Randomness, which kind of tells you don't be a day trader. But a black swan is a rare event that doesn't occur very often because you don't really see many black swans. And so an example of a black swan was 9/11. Another one was COVID. Just rare events, very rare events that usually causes the VIX index, and I can go there if you want me to spike to 70 or 80. And that means maximum fear in the markets. And I see that as an opportunity always. Yeah. All right, Matteo, how are you? Great to see you. So I think this is the same Matteo, you're 25 from Italy, who's joining my gold program. Yeah, excellent. Thank you. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give away my gold MBA to one person on this call. Okay. And what I'll do is I'll give it away in 45 minutes. Alexa, set a timer for 45 minutes.
45 minutes.
And it's going to be
starting now.
Based on something we've talked about in this call. And the first person to answer the question wins my gold MBA. It starts on May the 6th. Learn more at this link here. And if you already bought gold, please don't answer the question. It's coming within 45 minutes. All right. So Matteo wrote, what does your sleep schedule look like? Yeah. So I get between 7 and 8 hours every single night. I go to bed usually around 10 or 11. And I get up, 6 or 7 a.m. And I monitor my sleep very closely, and I recommend everybody do this too. I've got an Oura ring. Okay, O-U-R-A, and you can use an Apple Watch, from about to tell you in a second. I monitor what's called deep sleep very closely. And deep sleep is when it's not REM. Deep sleep is when your mind repairs itself and your body, your muscles repair itself as well. And if you're not getting enough deep sleep, then you're not going to reach your full potential. So how do we get a lot of deep sleep? Well, if you exercise throughout the day, that'll help with deep sleep. No caffeine close to bed, obviously. But most importantly, this. There's a problem with people using their iPhones, Android handsets, etc. at night. If you're going to do that, you have to wear special glasses that block out blue lights. Okay, and there's a science behind this. I'm going to show you the product, which is really cheap to buy in a second. But if you have a lot of blue light hitting your eyes, right, because you're using your iPhone, Android handset, you're not going to get any deep sleep, literally 0% deep sleep instead of the 10 to 20% you need. And so if you have prescription glasses, you can ask them to put the blue light filter in your glasses as well. And I'm going to show you exactly what I use here and what I recommend everybody do as well. So let's go to orders, and then I will search here on, okay, let's go to glasses. Okay. These are the solar eclipse glasses I got for watching the eclipse. By the way, you can now tell your kids it's safe to stare at the sun again. I'm just kidding. If the YouTube police are out there. Yeah. All right, but let me go down to the glasses here. All right, hold on a second. Here we go. Good. I got it for my kids as well. Here's the ones I use right here. Just do a search for blue light glasses in this brand name if you want. Okay. So it's $13.99, and you get 2 of them as well. And it blocks out the blue lights, right? And there's science behind this as well. I went to a Stanford University sleep study to help with my sleep, and this helps a lot. Okay, look how happy these people are using them. Yeah. Okay. Okay, Sanjay, how are you? Good to see you too. Moving on to Eduardo, who wrote here, hola, Chris. Hola, how are you? I'm a trading enthusiast, and I've been developing different lines of indicators. How can I develop them? I'm stuck in the technology part. How can I improve them for the people to use them? Yeah, it's really hard to do. The best example I can give you is Jim Simmons. So Jim Simmons started a hedge fund in the 1980s called Renaissance, and he uses AI and algorithmic trading. And his gross adjusted annual return since the 1980s is over 60%. Very wealthy man. And he's got thousands of Linux servers running in parallel, heavily guarded. Nobody knows what's in them. And he's got offices on the East Coast and here at Berkeley, where his son went to school. My son also goes to Berkeley. And he doesn't hire finance people. He hires mathematicians and probably developers as well. We don't know what's in those algorithms, but I'll give you an example of what might be. So his algorithms to make money have lots of data inputs, obviously. And then the outputs are the stocks it picks to go long or short. And one of them might be, and this is a simplistic example, if it's raining a lot, then, and that's an input, rain a lot, then short restaurant stocks. Because statistically it's proven that people don't go out to eat as much when it's raining, that sort of thing. Yeah. Now, if you're interested in learning more about how to do this, there's a couple things you can do. So in my MBA degree program, silver, gold, platinum for all my students, if you go to the last lecture, there's tons of electives there. And one of the electives is how to use Excel and every feature in Excel, including machine learning and artificial intelligence. So I would use that. I would also go to the elective that teaches you Python from scratch. And I added that one recently. And there's a couple of AI courses I added as well that will help you as well doing your research. Yeah, but make sure to thoroughly backtest all this stuff first. And only invest in your algorithm money you think that you can lose. Yeah. Just test it. It's hard. Yeah. But what I'd probably do is other things I would look at is see if there's a way to quantify, and this is one of the downloads from my MBA degree program. See if there's a way to quantify as much of this stuff as possible. And you also want to look at what's called behavioral finance, which means if stocks go up or down after C-level executives sell stock in size or vice versa. Yeah, and people make a lot of money doing that. Yeah. So I'd probably start with behavioral finance, see if there's a correlation between massive insider sells or buys and the stock price 1 year later. Yeah. And you can do that by looking at Form 4s, which are disclosed on sec.gov whenever an executive sells or buys a lot of shares. Yeah. And I'm happy if you want me to show you a real life example of Elon Musk when he bought tons of shares in Tesla and how the stock went up like crazy a year later and vice versa. Yeah, but you guide me and let me know if I can. This is your time. Okay, next up, Renvir wrote, aren't the price appreciation on leaps already priced in? Is there some kind of statistic that shows how much leaps end up profitable? No, never assume, never, ever, ever assume that the market is efficient. Otherwise, every stock and option will be priced for perfection. Yeah. But if you, from a simplistic perspective, if you buy a call option and the stock you invest in goes up 500%, it's an extreme example for a reason. Of course, that call is going to go up. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. And then Ipovarik wrote, I love Taleb. He's great. Yeah. Yeah. And he's Lebanese too. And I'm 25% Lebanese. And you got to leverage your background as well to help you in business. You can always find something in common with people. I'm 25% Lebanese. And so there's a guy, John Mack, from Morgan Stanley. He was the CEO forever. I met with him through my Lebanese network. And after I met with him in New York, when I got home to California, this was FedEx to me with a nice note from John as well. Yeah. But Taleb is Lebanese. Yeah. I'm 25%. Yeah. And the rest of me, so I'm 50% Egyptian. My dad's Egyptian. My mom is half Lebanese. And then the rest of it is just a mixture of Scottish, Irish, French, and stuff. And I got green eyes, I think from my Irish roots, my Irish grandmother. And that's a problem. I miss you, Grandma, though. It's a problem because I can't do green screen because my eyes are green. That's why I do blue screen usually. Yeah. And anybody in Hollywood that's got green eyes, if they do green screen, they have to wear contacts. Yeah. All right. And Ipovaric wrote, I'm reading Introduction to Information Theory and Map and Territory by Greenspan. Is that Alan Greenspan? I didn't realize he was writing. Yeah. Yeah. And I used to work at Citadel, and I remember Alan Greenspan gave us he gave us a speech at one of those weekly or weekend events in April we did in Chicago at the Mothership. Okay, next up, Ralph wrote, hey, Chris, can you build your startup team if you don't have the prototype or any contacts, but you have the business plan? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You don't need a product, right? You just have to have an idea. And so I'll give you a great example. So Kleiner Perkins invested in Nest years ago. And Nest was a company that makes a thermostat product that Google bought for $3 or $4 billion years ago. And we partnered with, when I worked in venture capital, we partnered with Kleiner Perkins. I spent a lot of time at their headquarters. And there's a partner there I met, and I talked to him. His name is Randy Komisar. And he was the partner at Kleiner Perkins, general partner, that made a killing on Nest. He invested in Nest, which Google bought. And I remember I talked to him. I was like, dude, how did you do it? Like, how amazing was the product when you first met with the founders of Nest? And he's like, Chris, they didn't have a product. They brought in a piece of wood of what the product might look like. But they were so passionate when they were selling. And I really believed in their vision and the quality of the management team that we invested before they had a product. So the bottom line is you can have a minimum viable product, or even if it's a software product, you don't have to design it yet. You just have wireframe diagrams created of it and get somebody on Fiverr or probably Upwork to make it for you. Yeah. But what you need to do is you got to write a business plan first. And in my MBA degree program, there's another template I have, which is the Venture Capital Bootcamp, where I have you go through and write an entire business plan. And out of that comes your slides and everything. And that's during the third semester of my MBA program. And so failing to plan is planning to fail. You have to have a thorough business plan as well. And in investor slides, yeah. And I can go into more detail on that if you want me to as well. Yeah. Basically, everything I do in my MBA program, which is fun, is I try to help you work smarter and not harder by providing you with all the tools and templates, all the arrows in your quiver, all the tools in your toolbox, so you can accomplish whatever it is you want to accomplish in business. Yeah. Okay. Hey, Abigail, how are you? Good to see you. You joined my silver program. That's right. We exchange emails, I think, on the weekend. It's great to see you again. Yeah. Excited to see you as well here. Yeah. And then Mateo wrote, yes, it's me. I can't wait to start the lessons, the gold program. Yeah, cool. I knew you were a sleep person. I also track my sleep very closely, as I think it's one of the most important things for your health. Absolutely. Yeah. It's crucial. I take it a step further, though. And this is out there, and transparency builds trust. I have nothing to hide. I can tell you everything I do. So I used to wear those earplugs, the ones I lived on the second floor by the express stop, subway stop on Broadway in New York City, Upper West Side around 80th Street. And I couldn't sleep because of the subway every night. This is when I was in business school. And so I would use earplugs, the ones you squish up and put in. And then what happened was a couple of years ago, I started taking them out in the middle of the night, and I didn't realize that. And I put them neatly on the sides of my table. And so what I do now, so it doesn't happen, because I'm a light sleeper, is I went to an ear doctor, and he poured silicone in my ears, okay, and let it dry. And he's got these special plugs that go in. And they're great. They're amazing. But I still take them out sometimes. So what I had to do, and this is cray, is I have surgical tape, that white tape, and I put it over each ear as well, so I don't take them out during the night. What I also do is I wear a mask. Yeah, it's a silk sleep mask. If you're going to do it, just like with your pillowcase, make sure it's silk. because if you don't use silk, it ages your skin, and anyway, all that crazy stuff. Yeah. But I take it to the next level. That's for sure. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, Manos wrote, the ones who selected in YCombinator, do they need to shift to the Bay Area, assuming they live abroad? I think that was changed actually around COVID. You can do it remotely. And so for those of you not familiar with YCombinator, it's kind of like an incubator, which feeds into the top venture capital firms. It's where you go when you first start a company before you get VC money. And YCombinator, Sam Altman, who is the head of OpenAI, he used to be the president of YCombinator. And from YCombinator have come great companies that graduated from it. Like Airbnb, et cetera. Tons of great companies. Yeah. But there's other ones too. And what happens with these incubation firms, and there's others like Techstars, which is in Colorado. There's also 500 Startups, and then Plug and Play Tech Center here in the Bay Area globally. But what happens is they take 5 or 10% equity stake in your company. They train you for 3 months or so on how to scale your business and all that stuff, how to talk to investors. And then you graduate from it, and it's easier to raise capital. And I invested in companies actually that came out of 500 Startups because I used to go to their events. Yeah, at the Computer Museum here in the Bay Area. Okay. And if you apply to YCombinator, you get rejected, apply again. And if you need help with it, you can always sign up for my MBA program. I can help you. Yeah. All right. Next up, Maciej wrote, hey, Chris, loving your course on Udemy. Thank you. And by the way, if I ever mispronounce anybody's name, please let me know. Thank you. And then you wrote, I have 10 years of IT experience, currently working as a DevOps engineer, but I'm considering switching over to finance and trading. What advice would you give me for that? As I have no related experience to education, it's okay. And I can't afford going back to entry-level salary. Any way I can leverage unrelated experience? Absolutely. So here in Silicon Valley, we always say it's easier for an engineer to become a finance person than it is for a finance person to become an engineer, right? So what I would do, and you could sign up for my MBA program if you want to. I will walk through walls to help you. And if I can't help you get close to your goal of changing careers within 30 days, I want you to ask for your money back. But what I recommend doing is you have to work twice as hard because you're making a career change. I would, on your LinkedIn profile, I'd create a lot of articles that leverages your background, right? So maybe start writing about, how to leverage AI in order to invest, right? Or how to leverage your technology skills for portfolio management, right? And write one article per week. I can help you with them in my MBA program. And become a thought leader. Then what I want you to do is I want you to set up informational meetings with people that work in the finance industry at companies you want to work at. And I want you to set up 20 to 30 for each company you want to work at. I can help you do that as well. Your network is your net worth, and relationships are more important than product knowledge. Then what I want you to do is to do a lot of investment write-ups and bring them to your interviews as well. And you can also sell yourself as, somebody that's got a differentiated skill set that can add value to the company, given the fact that you have technology experience. Just list examples as to why. Write a lot on LinkedIn, et cetera. Repurpose your content. Again, I'm happy to help you with that, my MBA program. And what you can also do is go to this website right here, Day One, Not One Day. And there's a big blue button. Click it and set up a call with me. Okay. Yeah. And I'll remember your name. Awesome. All right. Next up, Sanjay wrote, hey, Chris, though people know that investment banking has crazy hours, why do people work there for like more than 5 or 6 years, and how do they sustain it? Yeah. It's hard, man. I know a lot of people that are unhappy investment bankers. Here's why. Okay, so if you're not sure what to do with your career yet, what a lot of people think, and this is smart, is I think, well, I don't know what to do yet, so I'm going to go and work in what's called an origination job. And I'm going to give you 3 examples of origination jobs and why this methodology might make sense. One example is investment banking. Okay. Now, it's called origination because you're creating the investment product. Okay. And if you don't like creating the product, It's easier to get a job selling or trading or investing in the product or managing people on the product because you understand how to make it, the origination. Example 2 of 3. Origination by working at Google as a developer. If you're not sure what to do, you can become a developer. And if you don't like coding or programming or whatever, if you hate it, because you thoroughly understand how to make that product, you can move on to sell it, do marketing in it, start your own company in it, managing whatever. And the third or 3rd example, as my son Andrew used to say, is consulting. A lot of people go into consulting, myself included, if you don't know what to do. And I did this years ago before I went to business school. So in consulting, you create the corporate strategy, like you work at a firm like a McKinsey or Accenture or whatever. You create the corporate strategy. And if you hate creating the corporate strategy, that's okay, because you understand the origination of that product. You can move on to sales of that, management, operations, etc. So the bottom line is, if you have an origination job, it might be easier for you to find another job later. Yeah. In terms of sustainability, it's not really sustainable. I mean, I think it's a young person's game. Like I think investment banking, maybe you do it for a couple of years, and then you move on to another job. Yeah. And I had a student in my Platinum program 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago. He got a full-time job in investment banking at Goldman Sachs. Yeah. At the associate level with Harvard Business School graduates, halfway through my program. Yeah. But it's tough there, man. Yeah. Not just Goldman, but any investment banking firm. Yeah. Yeah. And if you stay for more than 4 years, same thing with consulting because you travel a lot. If you stay for more than 4 years, it's really hard, man. It's hard because, you have kids, family, and all that stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. Now, Manas wrote, and the question, by the way, I'm going to ask the question very soon about the Gold MBA, and whoever answers it correctly, the first person to type it will get a 100% free scholarship to my MBA program. You cannot respond, though, if you've already signed up for that program. Okay. All right, next up, Manas wrote, why is not anyone doing another thing about global warming, like large scale in the Bay Area? Is there scope for seed and pre-seed funding in global warming? Do you consider it as a problem, by the way? Yeah, of course it's a problem. There's no planet B. But one of the issues with investors in clean tech companies is it's very CapEx intensive. For example, to make solar products, whatever it might be. Very CapEx intensive. And without significant government subsidies, the market doesn't really exist yet. Right? And so there's got to be massive subsidies. And one of the issues with government subsidies is that a lot of these clean tech companies can't stand their own 2 feet without government subsidies. And investors got burned in 2008. Because in 2008, when we were within 24 hours of bank machines not working, a lot of countries like Spain, for example, that had massive subsidies on solar, got rid of all the subsidies, or a lot of them, right, for economic reasons, right? I mean, youth unemployment there was 40%. And so a lot of investors got burned, right? And look, I believe in environmental causes. I've got a Tesla, I got solar on my roof and all that stuff. But I don't really like investing in companies that get too much government support. I believe in Darwinism, where the strongest companies survive. And the best example of this is Michael Porter, who's a great strategist and Harvard Business School professor and the founder of consulting firm Monitor. He wrote that, and he came up with the Porter 5 Forces model. He wrote this great book around 2000 or so called Can Japan Compete? And of course, Japan can compete. I love Japan. But he analyzed the Japanese economy after World War II. And after World War II, for obvious reasons, the Japanese economy was in shambles. And so what the Japanese government did was they created incentive programs for every sector of the economy, gave away tons of money, every sector of the economy to help rebuild the economy. It made sense, except for 2 sectors. 2 sectors didn't get any money. And those 2 sectors were autos and consumer electronics. And there's a lot of successful Japanese companies in every industry. But the most successful Japanese companies that we all know of are consumer electronics and autos. And so there has to be some kind of Darwinism approach to thinking about industries longer term. It's kind of like, I don't know, say a kid comes from money and is given a massive allowance every week. They're probably going to be less successful. Yeah. If that makes sense. Okay. And Hassan Islamic Content wrote, hello, sir. Great to see you. Welcome. Okay. Okay, and then you said I did pronounce your name. Okay, so I'm gonna teach you guys how, before you go to an interview, how to pronounce somebody's name correctly. Okay, so for example, for Ilya, here's what I did. I mentioned his name earlier, and I wanted to say his name correctly. So you type this, pronounce. It'll correct my spelling. It's smart enough to know. Right here. See, I went there already. And then you click here to find out how to pronounce the name.
Strebulev.
Strebulev. So I'm going to type your name now. And I'm very sorry about that. Pronounce. Okay. Macieij. And if I mispronounce anyone else's name, please let me know.
How do you go about saying it? Mache. Mache.
Mache.
Forward once you know.
Mache. Okay, Mache. I'll remember that. I'm going to make a note of that right now, like I do for all my other students. And if I mispronounced your name, let me know. Mache. Okay, great. Thank you. Sorry about that. All right. Next up, Strickett wrote, hi, Chris. I'm a student from Lisbon. Oh, excellent. I'm actually going to Portugal. Going to Lisbon this October. Yeah, I'm going for a conference. It's a Udemy conference, actually. If you want to meet up, let me know. I'm a student from Lisbon. Next year, I'm finishing my bachelor degree. I'm also doing Erasmus. I'm thinking of taking a master's in finance. I'm very interested in hedge funds, and I'd like to pursue my career through them. What should I do to move forward in the industry? Obtaining certifications such as CAIA or CFA would be better, ? Yeah. So I would probably, I don't think I know a single person that has a master in finance that's ever worked in the hedge fund industry, at least not the ones I've seen. I've seen plenty of MBAs and plenty of people with undergraduate degrees and plenty of people with high school degrees only. The most important thing you can do, I think the CFA is probably better than anything else. For those of you not familiar, the CFA stands for a Certified Financial Analyst Designation. It's a 3-year program that you study for at nights and you write an exam once a year for 3 years. Do that. CFA is great. It's very respected in the hedge fund and finance industry. Now, CFA is going to recommend that you spend close to $1,000 on textbooks. Don't waste your money. What I did was I bought Schweizer books. So do a search on Schweizer CFA books. And don't even ask me how to spell it. I don't know, but Google is smart. It'll know. And you can buy those used on eBay for $30 or $40. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, Eugenia wrote, Eugenia. Okay, I'll remember that. Thank you. Yeah. And then Sanjay wrote 3.6 and 3.4, which is from, yeah, that was a question I asked on a different webcast, and meaning how long does it take money to double? I'm going to give you my MBA for free for that. So Sanjay, I'll give you gold for free. Email support@harounventures.com to remind me. I'll give it to you away for free. But now I'm going to ask a question, and whoever answers this question correctly will also win my gold MBA for free. Okay, here we go. The question is this. The first person that types it wins, okay? If 10 people write it, it's the first one I see. All right, so the question is, okay, whoever answers that correctly, I'm just kidding. All right, now I'll really say it, not be a 7-year-old. Okay, the question is this. Earlier, like in the past 10 minutes or so, I talked about 3 examples of origination jobs. What were those 3 origination examples? Again, I was talking about when you're not sure what to do career-wise, Oh, good. Michael found it on Google Schweizer. Yeah. If you're not sure career-wise what to do, you can get an origination job. I gave 3 examples. What are those 3 examples? Yeah. Okay. Yes. ArrowX wins. Investment banking, Google, and consulting. Yes. Okay, good. So ArrowX, you won. And Sanjay, you don't have to answer that because I already gave it to you as well. Remember before, because you did the 3.6, which is how many years did it take money to double from a different webcast. So ArrowX and Sanjay, email support@harounventures.com. And just remind me of your username as well on YouTube and request gold for free. And I will send it to you. I'll send it to you tonight or tomorrow. Yeah. Congratulations. And for anybody else interested in joining my next MBA degree program, go to that website there, day1notoneday.com. And let me go there with you just to show you real quick here. Okay. This will take 20 seconds max. Okay. So it's the gold or platinum MBA program. They're both on sale for $1,000 off. There's a 30-day 100% money back guarantee. We start May 6th. We do this. I teach live. I play video and then take questions. This one here is the same as gold, except you also get one-on-one. So this is kind of like gold plus one-on-one coaching here. And for those interested in more than 3 hours of coaching, like 20 plus hours, whatever, just click here, book a call. If anybody wants to join by the way, the gold and platinum MBA program, click this blue button. I don't know if you could see the blue button. It's underneath me right now. Let me hide that. Give me 1 second. I'm such an idiot. Okay. Here we go. So this blue button right here, you click this to set up a call with me if you want to. Okay. How fun was that? Alexa, stop the timer.
45-minute timer canceled.
And a lot of people that watch my Billions vlogs have said, Chris, please don't say ALEXA anymore because it makes your thing go off as well. And once I was actually at a conference, it was a hedge fund conference, and I was up on the stage just being interviewed. And the hedge fund mafia was there, like a lot of abrasive people in the hedge fund industry. And some of them were asking questions. They're kind of being mean about it, right? And so in order to piss off the entire audience, I said this. SIRI. I actually said it. SIRI. Set an alarm that repeats every day at 2:30 in the morning. And then I waited, and then people stopped asking me questions. They were all like, damn it. Yeah, they hated me even more. Okay. Okay. Newman wrote, hey, Chris, I love your videos, especially your hard work. I love from Kazakhstan. Thank you, and God bless you. Yeah. And what show is this from? Newman. Somebody will get it. And that's dating myself. All right, moving on to Matteo from Italy wrote, Chris, how long are classes in your gold program, rough estimate? I'd like to take them live, but I have a tight schedule that I have to manage. Yeah, it's all good. You can watch replays. You can join for the weekly office hours. And by the way, this is the very last gold and platinum program I'm ever offering where you're going to get grandfathered into future classes. What that means is this. If you sign up for gold or platinum for the class that starts May 6th at this link here, you can join any future gold or platinum program for free, or any future gold program for free forever. This is the last time I'm doing that. And this is the last MBA program offering this year. Next one will be next January at launch. Yeah. Okay. In terms of, so classes are every Monday and Tuesday from 9 till noon Pacific time. You don't have to attend every class. And in order to graduate, there's 100 quizzes after all 100 classes. Really easy, short. That's the only homework. And all you have to do is get over 50% on half of the quizzes, 50 of the quizzes. And I set it up that way because it's not fair that everybody learned every piece of content I teach. Maybe you just want to learn how to invest better, or how to start a company, or how to sell better, or how to interview, etc. Yeah. It's your MBA on your own terms. All right. Abigail wrote, I'm in education just like you, Chris. Thank you. Yeah. When one teaches, two learn. Yeah. And those who can't do, teach. And those who can't teach, teach gym class. And I suck at sports. You're all out of luck. I'm kidding. I love teachers. That was a joke only. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. And he wrote, does the following go under cost of goods sold and income statement? Stationary academic salaries and wages. Yeah. Yeah, it does. Yeah. So the way it works is this. On an income statement, you got revenue or sales, same thing. Then you got the cost of sales, right, or cost of services if it's a consulting firm. Then you've got three operating expense items, right? There's sales and marketing, that's S&M. Okay. There's R&D for research and development. And then there's G&A, general administrative. And if you're not sure where to put something, you put it in the G&A bucket, which is like the miscellaneous bucket. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's probably where stationary would go. Okay. And then next up, Newman wrote, what do you think about digital nomadic lifestyle, planning your life to minimize taxes, expenses, and maximizing profits, personal freedom? Yeah. Yeah. So in my vlog tomorrow, which drops at 9 a.m. Pacific time, I explain how to pay less in taxes. And I talk about that because I talk a lot about ultra high net worth people. And really rich people pay less in taxes, and that's how they get richer. And it's not fair. But Warren Buffett, according to ProPublicis, Warren Buffett between 2014 and 2018, his true tax rate was 0.1%. Right? And he's even criticized the tax code. And Jeff Bezos in 2007 not only did not pay any taxes, but he got $16,000 back on his tax return. That's $4,000 for each of his 4 kids. And the Forbes 400, meaning the 400 richest people in the world, only pay 8.1% tax. And the 400 richest families in America only pay just above 20% in taxes. And so the way that the rich get insanely rich is by paying less in taxes. So how do you pay less in taxes? Well, step 1, don't do your own taxes. Okay? Always get an accountant. Why? Because the tax code changes every year. And everybody's tax mandate is different. And don't just rely on software like QuickBooks or QuickTax or TurboTax, whatever it's called, to do your taxes. You need to hire a professional to do it. And doing your own taxes is like doing surgery on yourself. The CPA profession exists for a reason. And if you have a business, make sure that your accountant does your personal and business taxes. Okay. Next thing you can do in order to pay less in taxes. Make sure, if you can, and times are tough, make sure to max out your retirement savings program. So in the United States, there is something called a 401k. And if you're in a different country, do a search for your country equivalent of 401k. And the 401k means that you can invest about $23,000 per year tax-free. And if you're well over 50, I think there's an extra $7,000 on top of that as well. And the way it works is this. Make sure you have money taken out of every one of your paychecks. Out of sight is out of mind. And put in your 401k. And talk to your accountant first on how to set this stuff up. It's a great investment. And if you're not sure where to put your money, what I do when I'm not sure is I put it in ticker VOO. That's the S&P 500. And if all you did, if your spouse also maxed out their 401k every year, you'd have $2 million in total in 20 years. Okay. So step 1, hire an accountant. Step 2, max out your retirement savings. Step 3, oh, you guys see that? Why does that keep happening? Weird. That must be a new Wirecast feature. You guys see those balloons go up? Strange. Okay, so step 3 is max out your educational savings benefits. So the way it works in the United States, and every country is similar. If you have kids, you can get an educational tax credit. What that means is this. It's similar to a 401k, but it's for your kid's education. And you can put a certain amount each year, $15,000, whatever it is. It's a little bit different for every person. And you can invest that tax-free just like a 401k. And if you did it for one kid over 18 years, and you put that 15K in the S&P 500, making 15% per year, maybe on average. I know that's optimistic, but I'm bullish on the S&P. Then you'd have 700K in 18 years. So now you got 2.7 million saved up if you have one kid, 3 kids, whatever. Yeah. We love blue. Yeah. All right. Oh, and you if your kids take that money out to pay for university, like my son is doing now, he's going to third year at Berkeley, you don't pay taxes on that. But if he takes that money out one day to buy a house, that's how we say it in Canada. It's not house, Americans, it's house. Then he'll pay taxes on that. Now, there's also something called a Roth IRA. And a Roth IRA, it's kind of like a 401k, but you pay taxes first, then you put the money into your savings account, and it grows tax-free. You take it out later, you don't pay tax. And if you're under 50, it's $7,000 a year. And if you're over 50, it's $8,000 a year. Not everybody can do Roth IRA. Talk to your accountant and ask first. But what Peter Thiel did, so Peter Thiel is the co-founder of PayPal and the first notable investor in Facebook. What he did many years ago was, I think it was $6,000 was the limit for Roth IRA back then. He put $6,000 in, right, for his private investments. And that's $6,000, and he paid taxes first. And apparently, that $6,000 today is worth between 5 and 10 billion, and he could take it out tax-free. Yeah. So these are just some tax hacks, but make sure you hire an accountant to keep you, within the law, of course, as well. Yeah. Okay. All right, Sanjay, I see that you already emailed me for the free gold. Nice. Cool. Okay. Yeah, what's the email ID for the MBA, Chris? Yeah. If anybody has any questions about my MBA product or anything I do, just email support@harounventures.com. Yeah. If you're a sponsor, please don't email me. Yeah, thanks. I get tons of sponsorship emails every day, and I won't do it. I won't do it. Yeah. Because the second this comes about just money, the second you got to pack it in and move on, man. Yeah. It's all about my students. Okay. All right. And Ryan wrote Montreal Expos for some reason. Yeah. Équipe Ligue Baseball. Yeah. I am a huge baseball fan. And I have a baseball bat from Andre Dawson right here. So this here, my mom gave this to me for Christmas one year when I was a kid. It's from Andre Dawson. You remember him, the Hawk? Right? He played for the Expos. He was great. Yeah. Yeah. And my boss, actually, I work in the hedge fund industry. This guy named Carson Levitt. He used to work for George Soros. And he hired me at Citadel, another hedge fund called Pequot. I had this in my office, right? I just kept it in my office. And so he was the MVP in 1987 for the Cubs, and he played for the Expos as well. And I remember the All-Star game was in town here in the Bay Area in 2007. And Carson called me at home, my boss. And my wife answered. She's like, honey, it's your boss. I was like, oh my God, what have I done wrong? And Carson, I was like, Carson, what's up? Hi. He's a great guy. He said, Chris, you're not going to believe this. I just saw Andre Dawson. He's in town for the All-Star game. He's at a restaurant. I'm at the same restaurant. Do you want me to go over to the office and get your bat to get him to sign it? And I was like, oh hell yeah. Yeah. And I was like, yeah. And then I thanked him profusely and didn't have to put on my depends. And I retained my job. But anyway, he got him to sign it. It's right here. Isn't that cool? It's neat. Yeah. Yeah. All right. You guys have no idea how messy this office is with props. Actually, they're neatly thrown on the floor. Yeah, but I like props. Teaching with props is fun. Okay. Okay. Yeah, and welcome Sanjay and AeroX to the Gold MBA program. Yeah. Okay. And then Paul wrote, how about us poor Leaf fans? Maybe we get a free gold MBA. I'm with you, man. I can't. So the Toronto Maple Leafs, that's my team, right? Dude, We haven't won the Stanley Cup in my entire lifetime. 67 was the last one, right? But no matter what, Paul, remember this, brother. No matter what, the Stanley Cup always stays in Toronto, right? It's the Hockey Hall of Fame. Yeah. But it's ridiculous. Yeah. Ridiculous that we haven't won the cup. It's cray-cray. It's like the Red Sox used to be. Yeah. I guess what? Boston's up 2-1, right? The playoffs now. Yeah. Yeah. And ArrowX wrote, honored. Thank you. You're most welcome. Arrow, let me know your name too. If you want, you can disclose it in the email you send me. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Cool. And you guys are most welcome for those comments. Thanks. Yes, Kip. Seinfeld is correct. Das ist richtig. You are right. Yes. Seinfeld said Newman. Yeah. And I'm so sad that Curb Your Enthusiasm's over, man. I love that show. Yeah. And for those of you that haven't watched Curb, it's kind of like, it's like Seinfeld, but the R-rated Seinfelds. Yeah. Okay. And you're most welcome, Sachi. Okay, Roy, not to be confused with Patrick Hua, wrote, hey, Chris, will your AI course include advanced topics like running open source models like the new Llama 3, 2 Ls? It doesn't at this point, no. But we do teach Python and all that stuff as well, yeah. Yeah. And if you guys want to learn stuff about advanced AI, and if you want to hire somebody to help your company with AI, just do a search on LinkedIn for Luca Anderson. Nobody is better than him on the planet when it comes to AI. Yeah, and he's getting married this September actually in Serbia, Belgrade. I'm going. Can't wait. Should be fun. He's like 8 million feet tall, so I had to step on I'm 6 feet, but I had to actually step on a stepping stool the whole time we were teaching together. Okay. All right. And then Powder C wrote, hey, Chris, can I know your process for coming up with investment ideas in a hedge fund setting? Yeah. So a couple things. So step one is this. From a high-level perspective, just think of an investment theme, okay? And then once you think of an investment theme, go to an ETF that expresses that theme. And I'm going to show you a real-life example in a second. Then look through the companies that are within that ETF and pick the winner. And when you pick the winner, what you could do, and this is available to my MBA degree students, is you write a really detailed write-up as well, just based on all this stuff here. And there's so many different steps I have, right? So let me show you an example of this. Sorry for making everyone dizzy here. All right, let's go over here. And I will go to etfdb.com. That's etfdatabase.com. And you can go and you can screen ETFs, or you can look by geography as well. And this is top down, then you do bottoms up. So let's say, I'm going to pick one I haven't looked at in a while here. Okay. Let's say I wanted to invest in lithium. So what I would do, I've never clicked this before. These are lithium companies, okay? Obviously, it's an input for clean energy. So I click here, LIT. Okay, this is the ticker here. Then what I do is I look at the holdings. And this is Australian company Albemarle. TDK, they make GMR heads in Japan, right? But they do so much, yeah. So these aren't pure plays. So I would find a pure play in here, right? Obviously, one of the best clean tech companies in the world, outselling Tesla now, BYD in China. I would find a company that's a pure play here. And then what I would do is, like, say, SQM, for example. Say it's a minerals company that probably mines lithium. Then, okay, so this is top down. Then we do bottoms up. And then for bottoms up, what you do is I ask you 700 or 800 questions here. You enter in all the details and value the company as part of my MBA degree program. And then you look to invest in the company. And the way you know you have a good company to invest in, relatively speaking, is if you finish one of those write-ups. Now, those write-ups are in place for you to stop you from investing in something without doing research. It's like a safety net or a seatbelt, so to speak. Yeah. It's kind of like a business plan. And I provide you with business plan template as well. I'll help you write your business plan in my MBA degree program. But failing to plan is plan to fail. So you got to document everything. Yeah. All right. Okay. Okay. And if I missed any questions, type them again or paste them again. But don't put in hyperlinks. And YouTube will strip out certain cuss words and stuff too. Okay. All right, next up, Eric wrote, "Hey Chris, will you be uploading your vlog on YouTube?" Yeah. So the way it works is, so my vlogs go on my YouTube channel, and you can get all my social media stuff if you want. Just go to my website, which is harounmba.com. And these are my socials. So right here, this is my YouTube channel. So this is us right now, 49 people live watching. But I'll upload it. Yeah, here. And all you got to do is just go to videos here. And then you can just sort by the most recent ones, right? Like for those of you that want to start a hedge fund, I think I published one of those. Yeah, here it is here. How to start a hedge fund here. Yeah. Anyway, that's where you access it. Yeah. Okay. Okay, and then you can roll over educational investment into Roth now. Okay, cool. Yeah, very cool. Yeah, make sure everybody, please, I'm going to get down on my knees and say this. Please hire an accountant, please. And there's no Yelp for accountants. Like the way you find a good accountant is you ask, I don't know, a successful friend, uncle, aunt, whatever, people at work, that are successful. Ask them for their accountant. And you're doing them a favor, because they're going to get brownie points from their accountant who's going to say, hey, thanks for the business. I'll do a better job for you now. But anyway, just talk to successful people, your friends, whatever, to get an accountant. I promise you it's a worthwhile investment. Yeah. Okay. Better investment than anything I sell. All right. Next question. Hey, Mark, how are you? Mark goes by Satones. He's from Michigan. He's my brother from another mother. Good to see you. He wrote, hey, brother, how do you make money off of international mega projects? Yeah, you'd have to provide me with more detail. Whenever I think of international projects and why a lot of people like to invest overseas, I know you're based in Michigan, is for tax reasons, right? So for example, the mother of all mega projects is Intel, right? This is an Intel chip. Intel has a fab in Ireland. And in Ireland, they have it there because in Ireland, you only pay 11.25% in taxes, right? So a lot of people, when they invest overseas for international projects, per your question, it's because of tax breaks. Yeah. All right. Next up, Tony. Hey, Tony wrote, love your billion series, Chris. Thank you. Such insane value and life lessons interspersed in between. Yeah, thank you. And dude, I am so sorry for the god awful dad humor I have in those vlogs. Yeah. And in my MBA program as well. But that's okay. There's a 30-day money back guarantee. Thank you. Yeah, and Tony, what I'm doing tomorrow's vlog, it drops at 9 a.m., is I'm talking about tips from Mark Cuban, life tips, as well as how to save money on taxes, and then also the biggest donations in history. And what I did was I realized, look, I'm not a graphic artist, right? I love nerding out with Photoshop, but I outsourced it because of Peyton Callahay, one of my students, told me about this dude. And I'm going to show you his artwork in a second. And the reason why I outsource my thumbnails now is because it's so hard to really, like, I'm not Mr. Beast, eh? And by the way, Mr. Beast makes his thumbnails before he records a video. But the problem is that thumbnails, it's like fashion. Like, I have no idea if bell bottoms are in fashion. Like, I don't know what works and what doesn't. So I started outsourcing it. And I'll show you how I do it. So what I do is I use Fiverr. Yeah. So right here, I use Fiverr. And this guy's name is Franklin. He's the best. And so he makes all my thumbnails for me. So here's the one that I'm publishing tomorrow. Okay. I don't know why it's not showing. Here it is here. Okay. So the one tomorrow. So Mark Cuban is in season 2, episode 4. And so this is the thumbnail as well. So this here is Mark Cuban in the middle, and that's Bobby there, obviously on the left, and that's me wearing an Axe Capital shirt. Yeah. But anyway, this thumbnail is made by this dude here that I use from Fiverr. And if you want to hire him, he's great. And make sure to tip him good too. Really good guy. just do a search for this name here. It's Mohit Chauhan. Yeah, he's great. Yeah, and that price you saw was for many, many thumbnails. Yeah, it wasn't just one. Okay. Next up, Sanjay wrote, what do you think of George Soros' God syndrome? Is he really that powerful? Yeah, yeah. So, and actually, it's funny you mention that because I do talk about Soros in my vlog tomorrow. And I also talk about, in that video, how George Soros made $1 billion in one day, shorting the pound. And what he did was he forced the Bank of England to float their currency. Because the pound, the sterling, pound used to be pegged to the US dollar and a handful of other European currencies before the euro existed. And in order to have a fixed exchange rate, you have to have a lot of money. The Bank of England has to have a lot of money to make sure that from a supply and demand perspective, the pound is fixed. But what happened was Soros and a bunch of other hedge funds got together and forced the Bank of England to run out of money temporarily and float the pound. And he made $1 billion in one day doing that by breaking the Bank of England. He also did it with a Thai bot. Like a lot of people in Thailand are not George Soros fans. He did that with a Thai bot as well. So from a God syndrome perspective, I could see where people kind of get that idea. Now, Soros has donated over $20 billion so far. I think he's got $8 billion left to his name. That's a lot. But he's donated $20 billion so far. God bless him for that. And they're for healthcare causes and freedom of speech, democracy causes as well. And I like him for that. Yeah, yeah. But he's not, like I know people that have worked directly for him. And he's not a good stock picker, but he is a brilliant macro investor. Yeah. Yeah. Again, watch for my vlog hit tomorrow at 9 a.m. for more details on that. Yeah. Okay. Next up, hey, Devon wrote, how are you? I'm great. From Ireland. Yep. I remember. Great to see you. You wrote, I'm not able to buy VU, but I found VUSA, ticker of the S&P 500, will be great. If you could look into it, please. Yeah, I'm actually happy to do so. Yeah. So let me first of all start from a high-level perspective. Whenever it comes to, let's go over here. Okay. So let me first of all type VU, and I'll get to your ticker in a second. So I want to show everybody this. Okay. So whenever you look at an ETF to invest in, you got to do two things. Number one, you got to look at the expense rate. Okay, and make sure it's way under 0.5%. And what this means, and you got to always go to the prospectus from Vanguard or whoever offers this, yeah, Vanguard, to see if that's the right number. But what this means is you only pay 3 pennies every single year for every $100 you invest. That's nothing in terms of fees. You pay 300 to 500 pennies per year for a mutual fund, including hidden fees and taxes, right? So mutual funds are a rip-off. So that's the first thing you look at. Make sure the fees are low. Okay, and this represents the 500 stocks in the S&P 500. The next thing you look at is liquidity. Okay, and you're going to make sure that whatever amount you're going to invest is less than 10% of the average daily volume. And I say that because you might be tempted, or we might be tempted to invest in less liquid stuff. And if you buy an illiquid security, meaning one that doesn't trade very much, it owns you in a down market, not vice versa. So make sure you're no more than 10% of the average daily volume. Okay, now what we're going to do, and only buy from brand name companies, well-known companies like Vanguard, etc. All right, let me type in the ticker there. Okay, VUSA. VUSA. EA, sports. It's in the game. Okay. Vanguard as well. Yeah, the information is not updating here. I know for a fact the expense rate is not zero on this. The volume, so I would find out, first of all, what the expense rate is. And you can go to Vanguard's website and download the prospectus. Okay, it's like it looks something like this, but it's a document that'll tell you all the risks and everything in this. Okay, and make sure you understand what the expense ratio is. Make sure it's way under 0.5%. Now, in terms of the volume, it's not that liquid compared to other ones, but it's liquid enough. So, Alexa, what's 88.62 times 77,000?
88.62 times 77,000 is 6,823,740.
Yeah, so make sure not to buy more than $600,000 worth. And it's a lot, but that's just how I want you to think about liquidity, because this thing trades $6 million per day. Yeah. But yeah, go read the prospectus. And you know what you can even do is this. It looks like it just mirrors the S&P. Yeah. Yeah. So what I would do is call Vanguard and ask them, okay, what the fees are on this product. And before you do that, I also think you're based in Ireland. What I recommend that you also do is you call your accountant, okay, to see if you can put that in your retirement savings program in Ireland as well. And you always want to call your accountant first before investing. And the reason is sometimes when you invest in something, if you've already bought it, if you didn't buy it the right way, then it can't be put in a tax shelter. You just ask them first, and they'll understand that question when you ask them. Yeah. And I do have to wrap this up in a minute or so, guys. Again, next week, I'm going to have Ilyas Strebelev on the call, who's the top professor at Stanford Graduate School of Business, MBA program, talk about venture capital and stuff. If you're my silver MBA, then in a couple of minutes, I will see you for our weekly 1-hour office hours call. Go to the first lecture in the curriculum, the silver curriculum, for the link to that. If you're in my gold or platinum program, you can also join. Just click the usual Zoom address. But gold and platinum students get a 2-hour call from 11:20 to 1:20. And then I do my one-on-ones after that with my platinum students and my diamond students too. Okay, so let me go through this, and I'm not going to be able to answer all these questions here, so just save them for next week, please. Let's see here. So Paul wrote, you'll be at the Saturday night game. Excellent. Go Leafs, go, man. I hope we win. Oh, dude, Toronto would be mayhem if we won. Eh? It would be nutty. Yeah. And then Eugenia wrote, you work for Citadel. I did, yeah. Okay. Then you wrote, it's a cool bat. And then you wrote, go Blues. You from St. Louis? Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, there's a bunch more questions. Just save them for next week. Or if you're in my Silver MBA, you can ask me in a couple of minutes. And for those of you in my Silver MBA, just go to the first lecture in the curriculum in order to click to get the link for the weekly call. Check out my Gold and Platinum MBA degree program if you want to. Last thing I'll say before I wrap up the call is this. You can always go to my website, harounmba.com, and down here, click this blue button to set up a call with me if you want to about joining any of my MBA degree programs. Again, save the rest of the questions you guys have for next week, or I'll see you in a couple of minutes on the weekly silver call. God bless you. Click the like button and all that stuff. Subscribe, and tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. I drop my weekly vlog where I talk about tips from Mark Cuban, tax savings, and all that stuff. God bless you. This is a great call. Welcome all of our new viewers as well, and I'll see you guys next week and every single week. Thank you.